All right. Well, thank you for allowing me to take some time, and hopefully the food will stay down while I do this. I am a professional speaker and trainer and consultant, and most of my career has been spent with some fairly large companies doing those kinds of things and had some great success there. But I really wanted to help small businesses, and I come to find out that working with the Chamber is probably the best way to do that. And you'll see at the end, we're going to spend the last 10 minutes talking about what the benefit is you're going to get. For this, I'm really just going to give you a little bit of training and information so you can see that you've all been to a thing where what people really do is a 45-minute ad for their company, and they call it training. This is not what I do. We do actual training here. And so hopefully some of the things that we go through here you're already doing, but hopefully there's a few new things that might give you some ideas. And the idea with what we're going to be talking about is ways to grow your business in any market. And when we talk about business growth, like it or not, I don't care what your business is, every single one of you is in the sales business. Your business doesn't grow if you don't have customers, be that a service, be that a product, doesn't really matter. If nobody's paying money in the door, somehow you don't get paychecks, and that's a problem, right? So we all have to look at ways to try to do that better. And so these are just some ideas. There's lots of ways where you can spend lots of money. I could go into some very detailed information on how you could spend all your fortune on social media advertising and all those kinds of things. But there are some simple things that will really help your business grow and be sustainable as you go through. So those are the things that we're going to talk about here. But before we do that, I want to talk about what your prospects and your customers are really looking for. Do you know? I mean, it's different for each one of you, I'm sure, because you've got, maybe I should get up here where I'm a little higher up. A lot of you know what they want in terms of your product. But why you? There's other people that also sell a product very similar to yours, probably. Why are they choosing you? Why are they staying with you? Are they referring more people to you? Or are they actually doing negative things and saying what a bad vendor you are? I hope that's not the case. So let's look at a few things here. First off, is they're looking for authenticity. Do you know that nobody likes to be lied to? We all have that stigma in our head of a used car salesman, and what's the problem with him? We don't think he's authentic. We don't think he's telling the truth, right? That's that stereotype. And that can be true of any salesperson in any world here. And even those of you who are business owners, you're still the lead salesperson of your company. Are you authentic for your customers? Functionality, yes. They want ultimately to have a product that works and does what it says it will do. And if it doesn't do some things, don't lie. Tell them the truth about what it won't do. They'll actually trust you more, and you will get more customers when they see that you maybe have a few flaws. Because guess what? We all do. Nobody has the perfect end-all, be-all to everything. And when they see your flaws and you're open about it, here's what it does well, here's where it maybe doesn't do some of those things. They'll appreciate that, and people will choose someone that they know has flaws over the people that are unknown because they know there's flaws and they don't know what they are, right? Next is convenience. Do you look at your system from their point of view? It's one thing to make your business run well for you. But take a look at what it takes for a brand new customer to walk in your doors or call you up or go to your website. What does it take for them to actually deal with you? Your goal should be to remove every single step you possibly can in that process. It should be as easy as possible. If you're doing something that's great for you, if it's saving you a fortune, you're probably going to keep it, right? But sometimes we are inward focused thinking, well, this works well for me and my employees, but it becomes more cumbersome for the client. And you don't want that, right? You want to make sure that you're doing better than that. So, reliability and quality. Nobody wants cheap stuff. They just don't. Because they know it's going to break, right? Transparency. Is there a reason to hide things from your employees, for that matter? Other than salaries, there's really not a reason to hide things from people. It's okay to tell the truth. This is critical to the company, and we need to do this so we can, live beyond next month. If I was an employee, I'd rather know that than be living in some fantasy land thinking all is well, and it's not. People need to know the truth, and your clients do as well. They want to know exactly what's going on. You provide a service they're willing to pay for. You don't have to hide it. You don't have to hide the fact that you actually make money in the process. Because if you don't, you're not a very good business person, right? You kind of need that. So, a little bit more about me to know why I'm standing here and the things we're about to do. I have a picture of me standing in front of that Corvette because I won that Corvette by being the top salesman worldwide for a company. That was my first sales job. I didn't want to be a salesperson. Didn't want that stigma. Then I discovered that everybody else is overhead. Sales actually matter. Right? And so I've had some success in many of those areas. I've had a lot of software companies, of course, training companies. I've held every C-level position except CFO, and I don't ever want to be a CFO. Those of you that are one, great, you're needed. I love having a CFO. I just don't want to be that guy. But I do have a lot of background, and I've had a lot of success in helping companies grow in those areas. So much so that when I decided to stop being an entrepreneur and running my own businesses, that this is what I wanted to do, was to help companies not make the mistakes I did and other companies often do, and try to do things the right way right out of the gates. This is just a few of my clients. As you can see, I've been used to working with, HP owned me. I went all over the world for years because I'm a reasonably technical guy, and they wanted what we were doing. The results they were getting were phenomenal. And that was great, but I kind of like being home. I live in this valley, and if I can stay here as much as possible, I want to do that. And so I've also found that I like working with smaller companies better than big companies. It was great. HP paid my bills for years. And I'd made great inroads and had huge impacts in one division, but they were so big I couldn't affect the entire organization. And I like doing that. I like helping people be able to do things better. But I've run businesses. I've made those payrolls. I used to make a $70,000 a month, every 2 weeks, $70,000, so $140,000 a month payroll. I know what it's like to be scared to death of whether or not you're going to do that. Can you really feed your family? Can you pull that payroll off? What can you do? Going without pay while you're paying others decent salaries. I've done all those things, and it changes you. It makes you different. And so that's one of the reasons I'm here, is because I'm not one of those trainers that have nice theory that they talk about. I've lived this stuff. I've done it a lot. I'm older than you think, and I've gone through a lot of this stuff. But my first software company I was 21 when I had my first software company. I've been an entrepreneur ever since. So that being said, let's get into the secret sauce. Is there really a secret sauce? There is. And that secret sauce is sitting in this room, and it's not R&R barbecues, by the way. It is you. How do you run this thing? Most businesses do not fail from competition. In fact, really none of them do. Businesses fail because they implode from within. Leadership doesn't know how to change with the market, or they don't know how to treat employees, they don't know how to treat customers, all sorts of things. But the problem is probably you, if there's a problem. And that's hard to think, but when you're the owner of a company or the head of a team or whatever you are, what you do matters, and everybody watches, and everybody notices way more than you think they do. So let's talk about a few of the ways, all right? The first thing is never sell what you have, sell what they need. I know I'm not going to get totally into sales strategies here, but this is not about that either. That makes a difference. Think about that. I've never sold what my product was. In other words, there's a difference between features and benefits, and I'm sure a lot of you know a lot about that, but when you talk about features of your product, whatever it is, whatever excites you, that slows down your sales process. The more boxes you try to tick, eventually the customer says, well, what about this? And all of a sudden they come up with something you don't do. They have to bring more people into the decision process. All sorts of things slow down when that happens. Benefits, on the other hand, are the stuff that your clients want, right? So feature selling, again, slows the process. It gets overwhelming to the customers when you start giving them so much information. They don't need to know everything you do know about your product. If you sell insurance, for example, I want to know as little as possible as a customer. I just want to trust you that you know what you're doing. I don't need you to gush everything you know. And that's true of whether you're selling jewelry or you're in the hotel business or whatever you're in, they don't need to know what you know. They need to trust that you know it. You risk losing the sale because there's just too many people that have to get involved because there's, oh, wait a minute, they're talking about this area. Well, I don't know this. Let me bring Dave in because he knows about this. Well, Sarah knows about this one. And all of a sudden, you thought you had one decision maker and now you got four. Right? That stuff happens when you feature sell. On the other hand, when you do benefit selling, the focus is on what matters to them. Years and years ago, I sold cars. And I walked into the place and they were slammed and I had no training on anything, but they said, we need help, can you take somebody? 45 minutes later, I sold my first car. 2 hours later, I sold my second car. And it wasn't because I'm just magical, what do you need? What are you looking for? I had one woman came in and her entire criteria was blue. I want a blue car. That's what she cared about. Most of them you can find out what they're really needing, but you sell them what they have. You talk about the features that matter to them, not your list of cool things you think you do. Right? Because your customer will actually want you to win when you do that. Beyond the benefits, customers need to get you. They need to understand why you exist. Yes, I know it's to sell a product. It's not really that. What do we do? When you think about Apple Computer, for example, you kind of get a feeling of what they are. Cool, trendy, edgy products, but usually pretty good products. When you think about, if you're old enough to remember Gateway computers, why aren't they really around anymore? They're kind of just a technical support company now. Was there an image of Gateway? Does Dell really even have an image compared to Apple? People need to understand your why you exist. What is it you do? And the end result is, yeah, we've got a product that reinforces this, but here's what we really are all about. People have to understand what you are. And if you don't know, you better figure it out. Right? Be disruptive. Disrupt the status quo. And let me tell you what I mean by this. I worked for a company selling software, high-end engineering software. I was one guy covering Utah and Idaho, just opened up this new territory for them. They didn't even know if it was big enough to be a territory. And my competitor had like 8 salespeople, and they were aggressive as all get out. So I knew no matter who I went to, because there's only so many people that really needed high-end 3D modeling, thermal analysis software, right? I knew my competitor would have always been there. And they would set traps for me. Oh, have them do this. They would do this really cool thing, and they would show you how to model the cowl of a wave runner, and they would then animate it across the ocean, and our engineers would just start going nuts over this stuff. And they said, well, yeah, I know you're going to talk to those guys. See if they can do this. See if they can do this. I'd walk into those places knowing that the traps were already set. And I would walk in, and I would say, and they say, show us your demo, show us your demo. You know, the boss is opening the wallet. We want to see. Engineers really like to play with technology. And I'd say, yeah, I didn't even bring my software. And they'd almost get mad at me. What do you mean? I said, I came to find out how you're going to keep your job. What do you mean by that? Well, you're going to spend about $300,000 on hardware and software, whether it's me or the competitor or anybody else. You're going to spend about $300,000, right? Yeah, that's about what it's going to take. Okay. A year from now, one of you or all of you are going to be called on the carpet by the CFO saying, we spent $300,000 on you last year. What do we get for it? I came for you to tell me the top 10 things that you need for this to do your business. And then a week later, I'd come back and show them exactly that. If they made sport courts, that's what I had modeled and how it ready for them to see. I didn't show them, as cool as it was to see this complex surface be modeled of a wave runner. If you're making a sport court, how many waves do you want in that court? None, right? You want a flat. I disrupted the sale so much that they started to see for the first time, oh, we have a responsibility. We just don't get to play with technology. We actually have to perform or we're in trouble. And I flipped every client I walked into to think that way. By the time I'd walk out, they wanted me to win. By the time I came back and showed them what I was going to show them, it was exactly what they needed. The demonstration was tailored exactly to them. And I never, ever lost a sale. That Corvette you saw me standing in front of, that's the result of that. I did 5 times my yearly quota in 1 month to win that Corvette with many different clients because I really wanted that car. I'm a car guy, right? But the point is, you have to be disruptive and outthink people and make your clients think differently. Otherwise, your only choice is to outspend your competitors in advertising. Do you really want to do that? Or do you really want to look different? Here's something we do that nobody else does and change the way they think about the products that they're using. Put the focus in the right place. Who is the most important to your long-term success of your company? Okay? I'll give you 3 choices. Shareholders, employees, customers. Who matters most of those 3?
Employees.
Bing, bing, bing. Employees. There was a man by the name of Jack Welch who used to run GE and wrote books in the 90s about all this stuff. And I don't like Jack Welch because he said things that weren't true. He said, your shareholders matter most because they're the ones who invested in this thing. He also did something called rank and yank, where they would rank the performance of every single employee in the company every year, and the bottom 10% were automatically fired. Think that built a little competition inside that organization? Just a bit. Was it good competition? No. In fact, for me to keep my job, I have to make sure you don't do yours. And it caused negative conversation. But for him, it was all about shareholders. That's all he cared about. But the answer really is, your people matter most. Why is that? What happens if you have employees that are happy and satisfied in what they're doing and like where they are? They're productive. Number one is they're productive, more productive. I used to have teams that were crazy in their level of performance. And it was all because of them. They wanted to do it. It wasn't that I was pushing them to do it. Because they understood what it took to do our business and they wanted it to be successful. And they did that. So as you do those kinds of things, all of a sudden, you've got an employee that's happy. How do you think you treat your customers? Much better, right? If they're happy, that spoils over to your clients. Particularly if you're in some sort of a retail business, and some companies, I spend a lot of time changing people's minds about the fact that, yeah, you may be hiring college kids or even high school kids, but they're the face of your company. Yes, you're not going to pay them what you pay a CFO. I get that. But you should be treating them like gold because they're everything to your clients. That's all they see. They don't see anything else to make that purchase, right? And your support people usually aren't high up either. If they ever have an issue, they come back. And they stay or they don't based on the interaction they have with those employees who many think are, we churn and burn those guys. It just happens. It's their age. It doesn't have to be. You could actually keep employees for a long time because they're very happy where they are. So if you get happy employees, they become productive. They stay longer, which costs you less. They love your clients, and your clients love them back. And in the end, you make more money, and the shareholders are happy. All 3 are actually satisfied when you focus on your people. If you're not doing that, reevaluate how you treat people. They matter most. Are you doing things above and beyond? Are your employees thinking, I don't even think I would do that, and you're doing it for them anyway? Show them the value. Don't micromanage. I teach a lot of courses on micromanagement and how to get out of it, because most people just think they're trying to help. I just know this so well. I'm just trying to help them not make mistakes, and they hover. The best way to show an employee you don't trust them is to micromanage them. Micromanagement is the number one way to do things, and it never works. Yeah?
Where's the line?
Where's the line?
With micromanagement. Sometimes somebody just wants data. You're not getting the data. You're getting,
Sure.
attempting to kind of hover. Where's that line? You're micromanaging or not micromanaging?
Well, in the beginning, you do have to spend some time with them to get them to know the job, right? They have to be adequately trained and have the right resources. But where is that line to micromanagement? You have to trust them more than you're comfortable with, and you have to do it first. They will not trust you back until you trust them first. And so you give them everything that they should have to be successful. And if they're not, We have reviews where we are looking at the milestones of how they're doing their job. And that's planned, and they're expecting that thing. But I'm not out there watching over them, my shoulder over their computer to make sure they're doing anything right. Good employees actually like boundaries, by the way. They want to know where the out-of-bounds lines are, and they want to know where the end zone is. How do you score if you don't know what the goal line looks like? But inside that, your people need to be able to call their own plays to make first downs. You as the coach are monitoring those little steps that give them first downs, and you're rewarding them, and you're celebrating that they did a great job on this little piece of where we're headed. When you start doing those things, there's no need to micromanage. And if you have somebody who just doesn't cut it, you might have to help them out the door, and even that can be done in a positive way. I've helped people out the door because they just didn't fit the culture. They weren't bad people, they just didn't fit here. I'd make some calls, get them a couple of interviews. I'd help them go someplace else. Because your employees need to know that you care more about them than about anything else that you're dealing with. Yeah, we got this issue we're dealing with, but you and me, we're still good. That feeling needs to be there for everything you do. Right? Their performance will jump dramatically when they feel that from you. And you got to measure the right things. Make sure that you're not just measuring that which is easy. I had a CFO that became a CEO. And I, as a consultant, opened up a whole Utah office for them, and I was running all their sales there and all their sales in Florida. And he came in one day. I was very quickly doing over half of their business. And he came from California to my office unannounced. I said, "Welcome, but why are you here?" "I came to fire James." "What?" "I came to fire James." "James, my top salesperson, James that does double his quota every single week." "That James?" "Yeah, that James." "Why?" "Look at my spreadsheet. Every 2 weeks, he's late like 3 days in a row. And he's been doing it for months. We have to have phone coverage." What was he measuring? Phone coverage, because boy, that fits in the spreadsheet really nice. I said, "Hold on, you know what's going on, you don't know why. Give me a second." I go sit down with James. "James, what's going on? Why is this happening?" "Oh, well, I'm a single dad, and every 2 weeks, I get my kids. I got to get them on the bus. If they're small enough, I can't just leave them at the bus stop. I have to stay there, so it means I'm a half hour late on those days." I said, "You know what? I'm going to create a brand new schedule just for you. Your schedule now starts a half hour later, and you can stay a half hour later." Did I hide that from the rest of the employees? No, I told them all about it, and they all went, "Cool." He's actually working with the top guy and helping him. When I'm at that level, I'll get that kind of help as well. I went home thinking all was well. That CEO stayed late and fired James anyway. I came back the next morning. I couldn't believe what he had done. I said, "You don't get it. This is a people business. You think you're selling your product. It's all about the people." I was a consultant, and I could see as I'd battled with him that he wasn't willing to listen. And so as a consultant, I said, "Clearly you don't want what I have to offer." And within 3 months, I was gone. 3 weeks, I was gone. Within 6 weeks, 60% of the employee staff was gone. Within 9 months, the board fired the CEO. And within a year, they closed the office down. Was that competition doing it? No. It was somebody who did not get how to treat their people and what was mattered most. He was measuring the wrong stuff. He measured that which was easy. Pay attention to detail. This is a simple one, but it matters. Cleanliness, keeping the place updated. And I know you may not have a lot of money for decor, but do you think it matters when people come to work every day? Are they proud to walk in your doors? They should be. Even if no clients come there, your people come there, and they matter most. Remember, we just talked about that. Do what it takes to make your workplace be a place people can be proud of. Don't let it look like one of those bathrooms you've all seen at the back of a Texaco as you're driving to California. You don't want to be like that. You want to have a clean place. And maybe you don't have a lot of money, but you can take $100 a month and you can start updating things around the office. Keep it fresh. That will make your employees more happy. That will make them more productive. That will bring you more sales, and you'll have less turnover of people. They want to enjoy working where they are. How many of you ask for referrals on a regular basis? I see a few hands, but not everybody. 91% of customers would actually give you a referral, and only 11% of people ask for it. Is there any better way to get a new customer than have a strong referral from another customer? Anybody know a better way than that? People trust referrals. People read reviews online, but they don't know if they trust those. But when one of their people they know says, yeah, you know what? I work with that guy. He's great. That's all it takes. I stop looking at everybody else. I look at him because he treated my friend well. I'm done. Ask for referrals. 84% of business, B2Bs, right, business-to-business decision makers, begin their buying process with a referral. You should ask for that as part of your way of doing business, and maybe even both in line and in person, and maybe even reward them for giving you that referral. Build that into your marketing plan. Give me a referral, I give you X, whatever that is. Free pie if you're a restaurant, right? It is 5 to 25 times more expensive to get a new customer than to keep an existing one, depending on what your process is and what your product is, right? You need to build a community of raving fans. If you are not looking at your online footprint, you need to. You know that almost every single person now looks at an online review of you before they ever talk to you? I don't care what the business is. They do it for everything. They just do. You need to be looking at that every single day and build a community of people who love you and have a reason to love you. Form strategic alliances. It doesn't cost you a lot to partner with somebody. Partner with somebody who has a clientele you'd like to get to, and maybe they'd like to get to your clientele, and you can help each other. It might be a hotel and a restaurant. It might be a plumber and a contractor. I don't know what it is. Find somebody. In my first software company, my CFO, who was my father, had a great idea. He said, why don't you just put your product inside your products, the people you want to partner with thing. Give them the base, and we'll just sell the add-on stuff. It was a digitizing tablet template overlay, and you could click on it and do everything you wanted to do with a CAD system, including dropping doors into walls. And we'd build every part that an engineer needed. They could just drag it and drop it into a CAD system. That's what this stuff was, right? And it all sat on top of a digitizing tablet. If you've ever seen one where they use a pen and they click on things. We figured out if we gave away the one that just did the basic system commands, the pieces that went in the middle we could sell that were customized for an architect or for a civil engineer or whatever. They could buy those pieces. Within 120 days, I had a 97% market share. My original product, which by the way looked way better than everybody else's, was in the box for every tablet sold in the world. 97%. I now had to go sell my other piece to them to make good money because I was actually using that as a marketing thing. But boy, did I get market presence by doing that. I partnered with people who had something I wanted. And what they wanted was to add good value. By the time I did it with 4 or 5 competitors, they all wanted it because they had to do what everybody else was doing. Look at partnering with people. And the last one is to do your homework in 3 categories. First is your competitors. Maybe none of you have a competitor. If you think that, you're probably not looking close enough. And it may not be exactly what you do, but people are probably doing something else in place of what you do that's good enough for them, so why go to your product? Who do you really compete with? If they're a large company, you have places to go. You can look at annual reports, 10K reports, all those kinds of things, and you could read what they're doing and where they're headed and what the CEO is promising the world and the president that they will do next year. And thanks to some government regulations, if they're lying, they're going to prison on a lot of that stuff, right? They have to be very careful what they say. If they're big companies. If they're smaller companies, look at their marketing, look at their product. If you're a restaurant, go eat at their place. See what they're doing and how they're doing it, right? There's a lot of things to do to learn what they're doing, and that may make you want to change what you're doing. Sometimes there's a new thing that comes into your marketplace and just flat out changes your world. I was doing nothing but stand-up training like this, and we were doing great. I had a bunch of employees, and we were doing well. And one day, Cisco Systems says to me, "So why isn't your stuff online? Everybody's going online." This was quite a few years ago. Oh. I had customers starting to ask for it. Started looking at competitors. Most of them didn't know really what they were doing. I went to work and I figured out how to build online training. Today I have my own studio and I have all the cameras and I have everything to do that kind of stuff. And you're going to see some of it because that's part of what you're getting today. But take a look at what they've got, where they are. Where's the market going? Your next thing is that if they have press releases, obviously look at those. There's a few websites there, their website, of course, PR Web, Cision, places like that. Track all those kinds of things. They have every press release from everybody everywhere, and you can find out what your competitors are announcing, who they're bringing in. Oh, we got a new guy. Where did he come from? Oh, he's going to bring this stuff from Caterpillar that he learned there. They're going to start changing what they do. And you'll learn all that stuff. Then it's your industry. I know it's painful to go out and go to a trade show or those kinds of things. But you need to find ways. There are lots of webinars that are free that you can go to. Some of them are worth paying for. Understand what your industry is doing and where it's headed. And you need to be headed there too without abandoning what you're still doing. Never give away the cow that's still being able to be milked. But look at the changes. Look at what you have to do to compete in the new world because it's changing all the time on you. All right? Find ways to take the time to do that. Finally, do your homework on your people. Where are they in terms of performance? Do you even know what you want them to be doing? What does good performance look like for each job function you have in your business? If you don't know what that looks like, your employees have no clue what that looks like. And even your best employees start to wonder, am I doing the right stuff? Are they really happy with me? Yeah, I know I'm still getting the paycheck, but I don't know if I'm headed the right direction. People need to know exactly, this is where you are. Let's talk about, this is what is expected. Let's talk about where you are and see if we can come to an agreement on where we think you are and what we can do to get you to where you need to be. Those conversations should be happening all the time. Your employees actually like it. By the way, the younger employees you get, the more they want that kind of feedback. Annual reviews are not enough. They want feedback at least monthly. Most of them want it weekly. That's not a negative. They like to know where they are. Progress reports are a good thing. And then you'll have a grasp on where your business is headed based on where your people are headed. So, I'm going to give you a little bit of homework yourself. Take a look. What are they doing? Where do you want them to be? Where do they want to be? Are they even headed the same way you are? I walked into a company once, and I was helping them with some stuff, and they were just cussing the new guy. He's a marketing guy. What does he know? And they were spending millions of dollars building product that went this whole different direction. I said, guys, this guy understands your market and where your company's going. You need to pay attention and not be so closed-minded because we've always done this. Doesn't mean we always have to keep doing that. Sure enough, within 9 months to a year, that whole thing they were working on, they threw away, and they were building a whole brand new product line, which made their company's stock go up by 10 times. That stupid marketing guy was actually right in that case. And they didn't want to think about it. But most of us get that way. We get myopic because we get used to what we're doing. And this is how we have always done it. Therefore, this is the way we're always going to do it. And yes, the things that work, keep. But don't be so rigid that you can't change because the world around you is changing. Your customers are changing, and your employees are changing. They want different things. People care a lot more, frankly, about getting trained and learning because they want to increase their own little self so they can, if they have to go to another job one day, they got more skills. People want that now. They care about that. Are you training your people on anything besides what they absolutely have to do the functions that they're doing? Do you help them grow as a person? That matters a lot. So now what? If few things here. Set some goals for yourself. First off, write down your goals. You can do lifetime goals. Those are called BHAGs, big, hairy, audacious goals. But at least start with a 1-year goal. Where do you want you and your business to be a year from now? You know, when I do a goal-setting class and we talk about this, I make people close their eyes and think about where they want to be 10 years from now. And I give them some time to really think about that. Then I say, all right, open your eyes. Write down what you just saw. And they start writing down where they want to be in 10 years. Do you know that I've never seen anybody write down that they wanted their life to suck 10 years later? They want it to be better. They don't want to be making less money. They don't want to be divorced by then. They don't want to have this. They don't want to, have to downsize their house. They don't want those things. And yet that happens to so many people because why? They're letting life happen to them. They're not defining what they're going to do in their lives. You, as a business owner, need to do that. Where do you want to be? And every short-term goal you have that you do this quarter better fit into that long-term goal. Or you're heading the wrong way. You've got the wrong goals. Then you need to have weekly goals that fit into your short-term goals. And you get down even to the dailies. So that means if I'm going to have this happen in a year, that means I have to have this happen this quarter. That means this has to happen this week, which means, let's see, today is Wednesday, therefore I got to make sure this and this happens by the end of the week. It breaks right down to logical steps and actions. It seems overwhelming to make those goals. What do we do about them? You get them all the way down to, what am I going to do tomorrow? And what about the next day? You take it a day at a time, but there's a plan to it. Your business will grow when you function that way. Focus on 4 key areas. What are you going to do with your employees? How are you going to treat them differently? How are you going to make them know how much you value them? Do they really know that? And if you tell them that just once, is that enough? Yeah, I told my wife I loved her once. Oh, that's good. No. I tell my wife every day, multiple times a day, that I love her. Kathleen is thumbs upping back there. Your employees may not be your spouse. And if you tell them you love them every day, it's a little creepy, so you may not want to go there. But do they know that they matter, that they're important to your company, and that you care about them as a human being and where they're going with their lives? And yes, they may not all stay with you forever, but you should be a good stepping stone for whatever they want to fulfill their lives. You help them on that path. Make it fit into working with your business as well, but help them get there. If they're really headed for med school and what they're doing is making pizzas, you're probably not going to keep them long term. But you can help them get there and help them, and they'll help your company while they're with you. Workspace. What are you going to do to make it a little bit nicer where you are? Some of that's just elbow grease. It doesn't even take money, it just takes effort. Customers. What are you going to do to make your customers have a better experience with you? What can I cut out of the process we do to interact with customers so they like it better, whether or not I like it? What do I have to absolutely have from them? Why am I making them fill out all this stuff? Don't do that. You may love all the data you get from those things. Your customers hate you when you do that. When I get a customer, I get, and you'll see in this stuff, I want your name, your email address, and I want to know which chamber you're from. That's it. I don't need to know everything else about you. Unless you want to tell me, you can send me an email. All right? And then, focus on your homework. What are you going to do constantly? You have to constantly be in school. You have to constantly be looking at your marketplace because, all right, now I understand my competitors. Now I understand my marketplace. Oh, it's 6 months later. I better go find out what my competitors are doing again. I better find out where my marketplace is headed. When I bought that little laptop right there, it was state of the art. It was as nice as you can get. That laptop is mid-range now. I've had it a year. Not everything changes as fast as technology, right? But everything does change. And if you think it doesn't, you're the one that's blind. I was teaching a bank, and I had their whole executive team in there. We were going through a leadership class. And the CEO raised his hand, and he was a great man. He said, but what if all my people are absolutely, completely satisfied in their jobs, and they're just happy to do it? The people behind him were rolling their eyes, and some almost fell off their chair. And they grabbed me on a break and said, you see this team of 5 of us? We're going to leave this place because we can't take that kind of an attitude. CEO would go into a branch once a quarter and say hi to everybody. What are you going to say? See the CEO once a quarter. You going to tell him all your problems? You're going to say, everything's great, boss. Love it here. And he bought that. He believed it all. It's tough to get the harder things to flow uphill, the problems, the issues. Good news always goes uphill, but problems, not so much. You have to be out there digging and making sure you know what's going on. Right? So those are the things, that's your homework. Be on those things all the time. Now, we have some time here. This is what we're going to be doing. So as I started speaking with chambers, I would often have people come up to me after I would do a training of one sort or another, and they say, oh man, we need you. We need that kind of training, that kind of consulting, the stuff you're giving to HP and Visa and whatever. How much does that cost? And it's not just me. Anybody that does what I do, we're pretty expensive. Our daily rate's pretty high because guess what? We don't get every day that price. Yeah, I'm 5 to 10 grand a day. I wish I got that 5 days a week. I'd be doing really well. I don't get training days every day, right? I get enough to keep my family going. But that still is too much for probably most of you in this audience. You couldn't do that. So I struggled for a long time because I really wanted to help small companies, and they really needed the help. And I didn't know how to do that, and it wasn't just me. Anybody like me would have the same problem. And I came up with a way. We can do some things together. So the first thing is, you need to understand that there's probably skills you don't have. Most of you started your careers because you were good at whatever, or you had a passion for whatever. Then you find out there's all this other stuff that gets in the way, like people and the HR stuff and inventory and making a payroll and how do you do the accounting and how far do you go in accounting? Do I really need a big CFO? Do I need to buy Mass 90 right now and have all this stuff? There's all this stuff you don't know. All you know was I was great at making pies, so I opened a pie shop. And all of a sudden, all this other stuff hits you. That's true in every business. We all seem to need more of those skills than we can get. So, we're going to do some things for you here. Here's what we've come up with. And this is already there. This is already on the website for your chamber. Okay? I only do this through chambers. Your cost is nothing. Chamber is covering this. It's there for you to use now. And here's what we're doing. You'll click on the website and you'll get there, but there's a few things that we're giving you here. So here's what you get. Every first Tuesday of the month, I do a live Zoom webinar for an hour. 50 minutes of training, 10 minutes of Q&A type stuff. So you can type in your questions on there, and we can do some of that. For example, our very first one for you guys is going to be December 6th, whatever the first Tuesday is in December. 10 o'clock a.m. is when I do it. And we'll be talking about decision making. How do you make decisions and do it right? That's the first one, right? Then we're going to go, like your one you'll get in January, I think, is going to be conflict management. How do you deal with that? We're going to go through all sorts of stuff. And you guys can even send me emails of what you'd like to have training on, and we'll adjust. So that's going to happen, and I'm going to record it. So if you miss it, you can go in and get it for 30 days. At the end of the 30 days, we'll have another one, and that recording will replace that one. So that's the first thing we do, the first Tuesday of each month. Then, on the third Tuesday of each month, we do another hour session. This is your consulting part of it. This is where you ask me questions, and we talk about your business issues. And maybe somebody from another chamber will chime in and say, yeah, I've done that before. Here's what we did. And we'll communicate together, and we'll talk about that. But this is where we talk about real live business stuff. No fluff, none of that. We're going to talk about what matters to you, what's going on. So make sure you do send me questions of things you'd like to know about, because everybody can learn from your question. as we do it. Okay, so that's the third Tuesday, same time. Record that one as well. It'll be there for 30 days until we do the next one. So twice a month, you'll be getting an email from me once you've signed up. That'll tell you, here's what we're talking about, and here's the link to go onto this webinar. Okay? Third thing you get is we've got an online learning library for you. And I'm dropping in 2 new modules every month. They're about 4 to 7 minutes in length. They're not long. People don't have the attention span online that we'd like. So that's what they do. The first series is going to be about positive communication skills. And then we're going to go through probably some goal setting and some time management. And we'll go through problem solving. We'll do all sorts of stuff. Okay? And they'll drop in 2 a month. And they'll stay there, so you can always have access to them. So there's 2 new ones every month that you can keep looking at. So if you're in it a year, you're going to have 24 modules sitting there, right? So that's there for you as well. So those 3 things are what you're getting in this package. Now, how you get it, okay, here's a sample for next year. This may change a little bit, but that is the list of probable topics. Team development, conflict resolution, feedback and performance management, innovation and creativity, negotiation skills, digital transformation. How far do you go? Some people get themselves so caught up in that, they spend tons of money, and they do so much, they don't get what they want out of it. So we'll talk about that. Coaching and mentorship. Finding your fears, forgetting yourself, and focusing on the future. Power of influence. Emotional intelligence. There's a lot of things like that. Competition, succession planning, stress management. We're going to talk about AI. What does it really mean to you in your business? How far should you go with it? What is it useful for now? And that subject obviously is going to change, so we'll probably have to visit that at least once a year because it's going to change a lot. Right? So that's the type of training talk things we'll do in the live version that we're doing on the first Tuesday of every month, right? These are the first modules that are going in it. There's many, hundreds more to follow, but that gives you an idea. 7 steps to becoming a great communicator. There's 12 modules for that, so your first 6 months are going to be all that, completing that course. There's little quizzes by each one you can take to see if you're remembering this stuff. There's a little half-page card you can print out for each one of them that you could stick up on your wall in your office and just give you all the key points of what you just learned. So you've got that there. So that will all be in that system for you automatically. How you get there, this is your chamber website. I just grabbed this shot off of it yesterday. See this thing right here? Click on that. So all you got to do is go to your chamber website, click on that, and it will take you to this page. Now, there's a little bit more below this page. I didn't scroll it down all the way there. But there's a video here to watch first. It'll remind you of exactly what it is you're getting here. And there's only 3 things here. One is the register button. You'll only need to go through that once. And it's real simple. After that, there's a login button, so when you come back, you can log in. This is just my background. For people who aren't in this meeting and don't get to know me a little bit, they can go and watch a video to see what that is. This one says ask questions. That's the easiest way to just click on that thing and send me an email of what you'd like to talk about during that consulting session that we go through. And I'll bring in experts on some of this stuff too. It won't just be me. There'll be others that come on. So once you hit that registration button, it reminds you of what you're getting. Email address, full name, create a password, confirm it, choose your chamber. That's it. That's your whole login process. You see how little information I'm asking of a client up front? If you're asking for tons of stuff on your website, how many people are you getting to do that? Very few, right? It needs to be as simple as possible. That's pretty simple. Once you log in, you'll see this thing right here that says BKP Creative Consulting is right there. And you just click on the thing that says View Classes, and it'll take you to this. Right now, there's a bonus training in here. This bonus training is an 8-minute video on how to have tough conversations the right way and make them actually a positive experience. Okay? But then you'll see right here, under the category of 7 steps to becoming a great communicator, you'll see positive communications and culture. Those are the 2 classes here and the quizzes that go with them. And it's telling you what's coming next, or the next modules that are showing up there. And then see right here where it says live event recordings? That's where we place the videos. If you didn't make it to the 10 o'clock live thing, you can still go back and watch it by clicking on those. So every month, those will be swapping out to be the current thing. But everything is in one place. And you can ask me questions, you can email. There are other chambers joining you as well, and we'll have good input from lots of folks. And that will grow all the time. I hope you use it. I hope you'll show it to your employees. This is for your entire team. It's not just for you. If you see something you think, wow, yeah, I better have my marketing guys see this, bring them in, show them the training. That's what it's there for. You're already getting it. It's live now. So I hope every one of you go and log in so you can start seeing what's there. Go see this little video on having tough conversations. There's the first two there that you can play. These don't happen until, those aren't actually live yet because we haven't done it yet. We're going to be talking about decision making on the first one. And then of course we'll do a Q&A session for the other one, and then they'll put those things in there. So that's just kind of placeholders there for that. But that's what you're going to get there. It's really simple to use. It's really easy. There's a printed, we've converted all the voice into a printout as well if you actually want to read it. All that stuff is in there for you. So it's pretty easy to get through. That's what it looks like when you get in there. Just click on that, start the training. You can click on that and make it full screen if you want. Pretty simple. And here's your highlights. That's the half-page little bullet point thing that'll show you all the key points of what you just went through. That happens to be the whole written transcript if you want that. But those things are all there. So really all you need to do now is register. Just go to your chamber, click on the link, and dive in. It's real easy. You'll all have it. I hope you use it. And if you've got specific questions or whatever, email me. It's just questions at barrykphillips.com as well. If you hit that ask questions, that's what it does, is give you a little form to fill out that just does that. But you can just email me at questions at barrykphillips.com if you want to. You're looking like you have things to do. Any questions before I let you stop listening to me? Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right.